Today I am going to go through everything I knit in 2023. Hello and welcome to Woolishly. This is a video where I'm going to go through everything I made in 2023. I was a little bit hesitant of should I even make this video in the first place, considering this is my third video overall and you haven't really been here for any progress on these pieces. However, it's quite a lot, and I was thinking that the other chance, if I keep doing these videos, is to make this sort of video in 2025, looking back to 2024 and 2023 knits. And I don't think you have that time in your life, neither I have the time in my life to make that video, and came to the conclusion that let's just make this video. And at least if nothing else, you can get some idea of what I've been knitting and what kind of knitter I am. So you get idea of what sort of knitter I was in 2023, if nothing else. So here I am. As I said, I'm Sanna. I think in my previous video I forgot to even mention that I'm still learning. And I know myself who I am, so it feels a bit silly for me to introduce myself. As you, on the other hand, most likely have no idea who I am. I go through very briefly of my knitting journey this far. I learned to knit over 30 years ago, when I was probably 8 or 9. And my grandma taught me how to knit. She taught me to make basic like scarves, mittens, hats, pretty much. And understandably, as I was very small, I'm still quite small, lengthwise at least, she didn't go through any like actual patterns with me, but she just told me the amount of stitches and what to do and where to do increases and decreases. And I seem to remember she even taught me to do a little bit of cabling. And then at school also we are taught to knit. And I remember I must have been roughly 10 to 11 when we were knitting socks. And that traumatized me so badly that I have not been knitting a pair of socks ever since. There's not going to be any socks here as well. Yes, for roughly 30 years I've been refusing to knit any socks. This was still the time when I think teachers thought that the way to motivate the kids you're teaching is to just, I don't know, put them down as much as you can and maybe they get better if you do that. I don't know. I'm still embarrassed of that sock. So I have not been touching sock knitting since. Between 10, so 30 years ago, and now I've been knitting a bit on and off. There's been seasons when I've been knitting a hat for myself, a scarf for myself, something for my husband, something for my kids. Like when they were born, I was doing little hats for them with no pattern. And I've been fine with that until some years back. I decided that I want to make a garment, like a whole garment. And this knitting philosophy of don't follow any pattern or any guidelines out there didn't work that well of making a whole garment. This took me to a place where I got knitting, and I was using a lot of my time daily to be knitting garments for myself. I was ripping a lot of them, and the ones I managed to finish I never wore. My husband at some point pointed out, considering how much time you use knitting and the pile you have growing there, you never seem to wear any of it. And the reason was rather simple. I hated all of them. And I might maybe in near future make a video where I stare at a pile of shame. I don't need to probably even go through why I'm not re-wearing them. I assume that it's rather, well, when you see them you understand. But this brings us to 2023. In 2023 I decided, okay, this has to stop. I can't keep buying yarn, using my time to make garments and then just end up hating everything I make. So in 2023 I decided, okay, now we follow a pattern. We are not outsmarting anyone. We are not thinking we know better, but we follow the pattern. And the first garment I started following the pattern way was you could think I would choose something rather simple to learn the basics and, you know, but no, I guess that's not me. I chose for my first Let's Make a pattern to be the Ingrid sweater by Petite Knit. This is kind of like all over. It's simple. It looks much more difficult than this actually is. But this was my first knit. I decided, and now we're gonna make it, and we're gonna make something I will be wearing, and I've been wearing this quite a bit. As I said, I decided to follow the pattern, and it's very clear I failed that. This part here, the moss stitch, should be double the height it is. And well, it's not. And I had to then repeat the same mistake on the sleeves as well. I haven't been depilling any of the garments before I sew them, so I can show you how they've been wearing. Probably for the try on portion I will do that. My idea, actually, just disclaimer, for my podcasts was that I always share one instead of acquisition section of the video. I would just share one knit I've been wearing for a few months and giving my thoughts of how the yarn's working. Am I wearing it? If not, why not? That went well for the first video, where I didn't actually even do that because my finished objects were such that I had been already wearing them for over a month, so I could do that in the video. And on the second video I forgot about it. But I tried to do better. But this, I didn't depill or anything, just so they can see how it's been wearing. I knit this in Knitting for Olive Merino and their soft silk mohair. And you can see there's quite a lot of different sections of it that you can tell that I've been wearing it quite a lot. But at the same time, this only tells to me that I've been wearing a lot, not so much of the yarn quality itself, because as said, I knit this roughly a year ago and I haven't been depilling it. Before I do the video me wearing these, I will depill all of them most likely, because this is actually my second time filming this video. The first one I tried this on without depilling to kind of try to sew, and the whole video ended up being me sitting in like little fluffs flying around me. And you know, if there's few fluffs it's understandable, but when it's like hail of fluffs, it gets a bit too much and be out of hand. So I'm gonna change that in hopes that I don't need to re-record this again. Also, I had been wearing this for a good while before I noticed that there's a mistake here. You can see there's one extra eyelet on row below, which obviously shouldn't be there. can't really tell. But yeah, I've been liking it. I just been coming my wearing a home sweater because I don't think it. I have sweaters that look better on me than this, and I think it's a bit too drapey for my liking. But when I finished this, I wore it to office, and I don't think I'll let anyone pass me without me saying that, you know, I made it. I actually made, you know, I myself knit this because I was so excited. Finally, I finished something. After my Ingrid sweater, I guess I thought I again moved to basic. And my understanding of basic seems to be broken on many levels. I decided to knit the zipper jacket by Petite Knit. As a disclaimer, there's going to be a lot of Petite Knit here, as many people have. My hopes for this year are that I would make garments from someone else than Petite Knit. But I think my plans at the moment at least look like I might even get there. This is very difficult to sew because this is a lot of fabric here, and it's not very that basic. It has the double knee band going around it, and this took me a while. I didn't even know what double knee band was when I got into this. I didn't understand to any level what I'm doing here. Also, you obviously need to put the zipper in, and my zipper has a little bit of problem because I can't get the needle through the last part here. The first zipper I bought for this was Petite Knit one. There was only one slight error in, because I needed a bit shorter zipper than what the pattern is calling for, because, well, I'm small. I'm 157 centimeters tall. I used to always add, when I was at school, the half, 157.5, which for you using inches and such is like that. Now I'm just 157. I'm fine with that. I'm okay being short, but I couldn't put as long zipper in as needed. So I ordered one, and this being my first one I'm making with zipper, I ordered one that didn't open at the bottom. It was the one for the zipper sweater, so obviously it doesn't open here. And well, it doesn't work too well for cardigan. You are supposed to open as whole, so I had to get a new one. The color is black. It doesn't go that well with this, but where I got this from, the other, like the pinky colors they had were very plasticky ones, and I didn't like the look of them. So I just thought, well, this will do. It's not the prettiest, but it will do. Apart from doing all the double knitting here, it also has the afterthought pocket. So you add these pockets after you knit basically all of it. And it's somewhat terrifying thing to do, but yeah, there they are. I knit this in Drops Flora held double in the color coral, and Drops mohair in, I think, raspberry. One strand of the mohair, 2 strands of the flora. So it's very hefty and heavy duty. And I've been wearing this huge amounts. Spring and autumn time I was wearing this as a jacket, as well the name calls for. And it's very warm and cozy, and like it was perfect for running to daycare to pick up my kids, running to market and things like that. It's been wearing very well, I think. For just some fluffing there where I think my back has been hitting, because I wear this to work now and then as well instead of actual jacket. But considering the price that the yarn is, this I'm rather impressed with this. I don't say it has the mohair and if I say that it's not prickly or itchy or anything for me, nothing tends to be. I can wear pretty much anything. I can wear like 100% rough wool on my skin and I'm fine. So don't take that as sign of anything. But yeah, there's just some fluffing here, as you can see. But overall, I think it's been holding up very, very well. I didn't want to use any expensive yarn for this because I knew that if I wear it as a jacket, it will, you know, I will be sitting on, like, it being between me and like chairs in the buses and stuff, and trains and public transportation in general, and I don't want to sound like a snob, but I don't totally trust those chairs all the time, 100%. So I didn't want, you know, pull like super expensive yarn in that sort of use. And it's been a good little knit, and I've been getting a lot of wear out of it. The next thing I knit was for my son. He asked for rainbow colored sweater. I put a picture here. I made him the Stockholm sweater to nearby petite knit in this rainbow colored yarn. I showed him different rainbow colored yarns. He went for this. This is Novita, 7 veljestä, 7 brothers, in, well, some rainbow color. And yeah, it's been rough wool. I made the neckline that has deeper than it should be, just so he can kind of like have always something between his skin and the shirt. And he's been actually wearing that one rather a lot. The pictures are showing it in a bit funky way because I realized it has the name sticker at the back of it. And obviously I don't want to give my son's full name here. So I had to take the picture so that you can't see the little name sticker on it. I got this pattern to be just kind of like I can just go up in size while they grow and just use this one simple like pattern to make multiple sweaters for them. And it served its purpose. Next thing I started knitting was one that I was looking forward so much. This is something I really wanted to make, and it was the Iun sweater by November Knit. I put a picture here because I don't have it anymore. Of the, what it should have been like. I started knitting that, and I don't know, was it a raglan? I think I finished the whole body at least. It has this big like split on the sides and big kind of like chunkier raglan, and I put it on. I was like, I don't know, I feel horrendous wearing this. I don't feel good at all, and I kept putting it on, and my husband was telling that, you know, it's fine, but I'm rather pressed here. And what it did for, I think, how the raglan was sitting, it made me look extremely top heavy, and then there's the ribbing starting, so it was kind of like making this weird framing for my boobs. And I was putting it on and I was like, I love this pattern so much, I want to make it work, but at the end of the day I just ripped that out because I wouldn't have been wearing it ever. And at this point I was thinking that, well, if I know when I'm trying it on that, you know, I don't like it, I know blocking can help a lot, but with that, blocking would have been sorting that issue. I just got rid of the whole thing and kept the yarn. The lucky thing here was that pretty much straight after, my favorite things came out with the Levitate wrap. And as happened, the Levitate wrap used the exact yarn I have been buying for my Iun sweater, which is the Eco Soft by Isager. In the color I would have wanted to make the Levitate wrap in anyways. So I only needed to get the 301, and I got, for the first time in my life, the yarn combination the pattern was calling for. about Levitate wrap, I have to say that it was like my favorite things reading my mind. Because when I started knitting, I had this idea of what I want to make. But there was not, the pattern was nowhere. I knew that this is what I want, but I couldn't find a pattern for it. And this is the pattern. The Levitate wrap is what I wanted to make. Pretty much exactly what I wanted. And I've been wearing this. It's a little bit difficult to wear. Because the sleeves are, they take a lot of space in your jacket. And I had to actually just buy a jacket for me that I can use on milder winter days. That's very deep sleeves as well, so this goes under that one. That's the only jacket I can wear this way. When I wore this to office, they asked, can I just knit this for the whole office? And I said, well, no, I won't. With the sleeves, I made a bit of a mistake. I knit them and it grew much more than I expected. So instead of this, this should be folded once, my ones are folded twice. So there's a lot of fabric here, which I'm not the biggest fan of, but well, it is what it is. I hopefully at some point get back to it and fix this situation. I also made a modification for the, this is not modification, I just made a solution for it, I guess, for the little snaps you are supposed to put in. There's a lot of people I've seen videos of saying that the only thing they don't like about the Levitate wrap is how the one side of it keeps flopping down, but the pattern actually calls for 2 snaps to be attached. I don't know, is that because of there's different language versions? I use the English one, at least there they called for the snap to be put on the side where you don't have to tie. But what I did with getting stuck to it, what I did with the snaps is I actually put 2 in on one side, so I can snap it here to make it a bit smaller, or I can snap it to the further away one to give it more space. And this gives me almost 2 different looks. One of them I can wear with very high waisted pants, which I wear always, and like skirts, maybe dresses, and one of them is more like slouchy fit that, you know, if I have been like tighter jeans or something, I might prefer that it's not kind of gathered on my waist, but it kind of goes lower down. So I have those 2 different options with this, which I think is rather handy. This one been wearing fine. I don't know myself. Am I the biggest fan of the EcoSoft? I can think of nicer yarns. I'm not also the biggest fan of anything you knit on big needles, but because I don't know, if this would have been like 3mm needles, I wouldn't have made it because it would have been too much work. Also, this took me exactly 3 weeks to knit, which was extremely quick, and I think it was because this was my dream sweater I always wanted, but couldn't get before. I've been trying to buy a few these sorts of sweaters, but they've never been quite it. Very happy with this one. After the Levitate wrap, I started making the poppy tee by Petite Knit. And I go to the part where you join the yoke together. And I joined it. I was very careful not to twist anything. And I joined it and I started knitting. I knit probably this much. And I was like, there's something be iffy here. Something's not really quite how it should be. And I had been twisting it. So it was going once around itself. And obviously then, well, you have to undo it because you can't wear the sweater like that. So I undid it until the point where I joined it together. And I did it again. And I joined it again. and started knitting. I was super careful not to do that again. And started knitting, I was knitting again. And I was thinking like, there's something be funny with it. And I have been twisting it again. And at this point, I just lost all my steam. It's still there. I didn't even undo it. I was like, you know, if I can't, no, I don't have time for this. So it's sitting there in a basket. I don't even take it out because it's under a lot of stuff. Just, you know, living sad, lonely life. And I need to see, do I do it a poppity or something else with the yarn? But that didn't work out. That's not the pattern. That's all on me. Obviously, petite knit probably thinks that people cannot twist all of their work like I'm doing. Rightfully so. This is kind of like a little bit pointing why my channel is called Woolishly. I do make a lot of extremely stupid mistakes. And many times I keep making the same mistake again and again. I'm wasting my time and yeah. The next thing I knit, and this actually finished, this was very quick, luckily, was the Alice top by Petite Knit. I did this in the recommended yarn. In the, I think usually by Petite Knit I make the size large or extra large. It's a bit depending what sort of fit I want, but I think I went for the large. And I finished it. It's a bottom up, my first bottom up thing I've ever made, a top. I put a picture here what it should look like. I might put a picture of what I managed to make so you can see. It's not anymore. But I made that, and when I wore it, first of all it was hanging super low under my arms. Like pretty much like revealing the whole side panel of my bra, which was not the look I was going for. And also it didn't fit. It was very off. I put it on and I was just saying to my husband that I've never felt this ugly before in my life. It was doing all the wrong things to me. Again, not the pattern. You can find it in Instagram a lot of pictures of people wearing it and it looking great. On me, it looked awful. I slept one night and was thinking that, well, you know, maybe I like it. And I tried it on the next day. I was like, no, this has to go. And the hate I felt towards how I looked in that was enough for me to just I just ripped it out straight away. I have now a big ball of the yarn that I think I will make some sort of like summer back of instead of a shirt, because I think one problem was that the yarn was too thick and heavy and I didn't like the drape of that either. But same as with the Ingrid sweater, that maybe didn't have enough of oomph to it. After this, my favorite things came out with Camisole number 9, which I still think is absolute perfection. I would love that. I started knitting that and I'm still somewhere in the body part. I had to size down to 2.75mm needles. Obviously, I'm not the most petite person you've ever seen in your life. I'm short, but I'm a bit wider than average. So I'm not making size extra small here. I think I'm making, again, probably large or extra large. I think with my favorite things where I usually go for the bigger size. So probably extra large. And I can't get myself. I was knitting it. And I didn't enjoy it. And then at some point I just gave up with it because I was thinking that this is my hobby. I'm supposed to enjoy what I'm doing here. And I'm not enjoying myself at all. So it's just hibernating. And I see what I do with that. I love the pattern though. The next thing I actually have, it's, this is very original. The whole thing, I guess, well, the zipper jackets, I guess not that many people have been making, but I guess you can tell I was influenced and heavily so. This one is the Tolsta tea in fingering weight version by the Rebecca Glow. And I just stole the pattern design of someone from Instagram. They had made this like striping with the pearl rose. Oh, there's one loose end here. I need to fix that. Can you see? There it is. But yeah, I made this in some Katia cotton and linen yarn in the color black. I had this yarn, I don't know when I got it, I had it in my stash and I just used it for this. It's very, as you can tell, see-through, but when you're wearing it, it's not this see-through, so I can actually just have bra and this on. And I was wearing this a lot last summer because it's very breathable and airy and rather easy to just throw on. Maybe be kind of like sloppy looking for being actually like, if I would need to go to work, I probably wouldn't wear this. But for home use, it's very good. I made the neckline a bit smaller. In the pattern, they kind of like also say that you can make a few stitches for the neck and then just increase before you start doing anything else. And I think I did that. I think I went 2 sizes down. And I would want to say that there is elastic here as well. It's pretty, yeah, I put elastic there as well, but still it's rather wide neck, which I like square neck, but I don't really like boat neck or like very droopy O neck that much. But I've been getting a lot of wear out of this Tolsta tea. After the Tolsta tea, I actually didn't say, but the Levitate wrap, because I wanted to finish that. I have in my Instagram a photo of me knitting that while it was like plus 30 degrees or something. And I was just so determined that I will make this. So I was like looking after my boys who were playing in the garden outside and knitting the heavy garment. It being like boiling hot. My next summer knit is this one, and this is not by Petite Knit. Oh, my favorite things knitwear, go me. This is the Majse sweater by Pastel Collective, I think. And when I saw this pattern starting to pop in Instagram, I was thinking that I have to do that. Basically, it was for me the first saddle shoulder design I spotted. I think they were around, but not that much yet. And I had seen this Baba sweater in very kind of bright blue that had this saddle shoulder effect, which I wanted to buy, but it was almost 300 euros and I just couldn't bring myself to buy that. So I tried to little bit kind of make the same look with this one. I think I made some like size somewhere between the medium and the biggest size. I think this has only 3 sizes. It's not very size inclusive. And bit of the problem I have with it is that people who say they are knitting the medium size all were also looking very, very thin. So they just got very oversized sweater. And I don't know how much this was actually tested on any bigger people like me. I like it. It was very interesting knit, and it's very like the sleeve shape. I don't know, like it looks nice when you wear it. Well, like this looks a bit interesting, and it's also very kind of like up here and then like that. And I don't know, is it this or is it the size of my breast? But this actually doesn't sit that well on me. It's pilling quite a lot, considering I haven't been wearing this that much, as I'm not the biggest fan of it. I put the videos here where you can see me wearing it, and I try to show you it bunches up here. And this neckline I made if I say I made this 10 times, I might be underestimating. It was so difficult for me to make the neck work, and I'm still not totally happy with, I don't know, is that causing the problem? It's just doing some big funky stuff that I don't like that much. But yeah, the yarn also, the very interesting thing with the yarn is that it's 100% wool, and I know wool wants to bounce back, but this basically, no matter how you pluck it, it bounces back to be what it was. It doesn't stay in its kind of blocked form, it just goes back to how it was when I knit it. It has mind of its own. But yeah, I haven't been getting that much wear out of it. Yeah, I still like the look of it, but I think something for me with this is just not. We are not maybe the match made in heaven as I was hoping we would be. The next thing I just saw very quickly here, I started making the Aros sweater because I wanted the saddle shoulder and something I would actually wear, but I'm a very boring person. Like this color combination I'm wearing at the moment is my favorite color combination, and it's black. So this obviously is very out of what I usually would wear. I had these two mohairs. This is Philcolonatilia, and I love the colors, and I was thinking, well, what if I just striped them together? And I actually like how it looks. It looks very interesting, but I don't know. Would this be for me? Maybe. But as I'm so hesitant with the color combination, and is this what I want to be wearing, I never go further than this. It's just on some scrap yarn at the moment hanging. And I also think I made the neck, and I think I picked up the stitches it was calling for, but I don't know, can you see? It's very, I think there's too much material here, so I might need to go back to that and fix the neck. But we will see. Maybe it somehow it reminds me a lot of the 80s, and I was born in the 80s, so, which is so funny. I was born in the 80s, and I should be in prime of my knitting, and this is one thing that I feel almost too old for this community. Like, I feel that I'm like 20 years too old to be knitting anymore. And it's interesting feeling. The next thing I knit is this one. This is using the same rainbow yarn as I used for my older son. But I didn't have enough to make another full garment out of the rainbow yarn, so I mixed it with black. This yarn is sold in the balls of 200 grams, so I would have been needing one and bit more to finish a garment for my younger kid. So I didn't want to buy a full new ball of it and then be stuck again with kind of awkward amount. So I just mixed it with some black yarn I had in my stash. It happens to be also the Novita 7 veljestä, 7 brothers, and it has half of our cat on it. Like, these are not even fluffs, it's just scattering dust and hairballs from our cat. We have a cat who, for a knitter, is a bit difficult. You can see, that's why I'm looking there, she's there. She has like brown, black, grey and white long hair. So whatever color you knit in, you will see her hair in it. It doesn't matter, because she's kind of covering all of it. But yeah, this pattern was a pattern by Sandnes Garn. I tried to remember to put the pattern name here. Very simple raglan. I don't know, did I follow much of the... It's very basic raglan, and I think I followed the pattern to a certain extent and basically just did whatever. But yeah, this has higher neck because my younger son is like me. He doesn't mind wool at all. This is, even for me, maybe a little bit scratchy. And he's just fine with it. He's like, well, I will wear it. I asked him that what sort of neck he would like. The next thing I knit is this will be maybe a bit controversial, but it's a pattern that I didn't actually even like myself when it came out. And I knit this pattern because of the yarn, because Sandnes came up with yarn color I wanted to use somewhere. And then I remembered this pattern and decided to combine them too. However, I like it now more. And I've been wearing this quite a lot. As still someone who wears black, this is maybe a little bit out there. But I made Storm Sweater by Petite Knit. And I didn't use the pear gint that it's calling for, but I used the thin pear gint and combined that with Sandnes mohair. They're both in color sassy pink, and I saw this color and I knew I have to make something in this color. How I saw this is that if I make something rather busy in very bright yarn, it balances the kind of color, so you have something else than just the color to look at. So maybe the color isn't as much because there's also the pattern, so they almost like compete with each other a little bit, so both of them are muted down. I don't know, are you with me here with this theory, but this is what I believe. But yeah, I made this in exactly 3 weeks. It was a very fun pattern to make, apart from the sleeves. I know a lot of people have been saying they had trouble with the sleeves. And one of the patterns I tried to make and I couldn't, I think it was this stripy one. It should be up here, I think. And I just couldn't make it work. Because if I put it there, the pattern wasn't matching up at all. I don't know, what was I doing? I was reading the pattern, I was trying so many things. And then I just counted to repeat and just moved it down one section, and then it worked. And just this pattern doesn't need as much of, like it has so to repeat, so that was easier to move. And other than that, I think I knit it basically to the pattern, but I made it a bit more cropped version, so it has less of the repeats. I don't even think that's really kind of like me making modification. I just adjust the length of it. This yarn, considering I've been wearing this, I've been wearing a lot at home and at work. There's no pilling whatsoever. I made this, we were going to England, where my husband is from, because he hadn't been to England for I think 5 years, and our kids obviously are half English, and one of them been to England when he was 2 months old, and even then we actually went to Scotland. We landed in England but went straight to Scotland. And our younger kid has not been to England ever, and obviously it's half of their heritage, so we wanted to go there. So I knit that very quickly to be able to wear that in England, and England had, at the end of September, like some heat wave going on, so I didn't even pack that. The other thing at this point I was doing is my Peacock sweater. I was doing these two at the same time. This is by Lenit, and I did the biggest size available. It's not very size inclusive pattern. However, it's calling for, I think, 7mm needles. And I did it in size down. So I went one size down in the needle size, which obviously makes it a bit smaller than it should be. So it should be a bit bigger in the bigger size, but probably not that huge. This is pilling quite decent amount, can you see it there? Like gathering all sorts of cat hair and everything, and also pilling quite a lot. It's knit in Mayflower yarn, called Sky in the color obviously black, and I think it's very heavy on the alpaca. It's alpaca wool and nylon mix. I got this from sale. I think it was like -50%, -60% off to try, because it's heavier weight, so I could knit it with bigger needle size, which I, since the Levitate wrap, haven't really been doing. And I mixed this with the 301 I had left over from the Levitate wrap to help it keeping it safe, because I know alpaca can droop out a lot. And I think I did a bit too well there, because it hasn't been... I made the sleeves a bit shorter, and I made it a bit shorter overall, because I thought, well, it will grow hugely when I pluck it, as it has so much alpaca, and it, it hasn't been growing at all. It's the exact size I knitted, and it's staying in the form, so it has to be the 301, which is like linen, cotton, is it lyocell mix? And it's, I think it has to be that, it's just keeping it in the form it has. Someone might say that it doesn't make any sense to knit lace work in black, because you barely can tell it's there. It's there, but it's a bit hard to see. But the reason why I did it is that I didn't know, would I ever wear lace work? I have rather simple style. I know I have very popping colors here, but I kind of have very simple style. I don't seem to go for things like lace. And I was thinking that maybe if it's black, it'd be easier for me personally to wear. I also did add, I don't know, can you see sword rows at the back here? They are not included in the pattern, but as it is black, you can't really tell that it shouldn't be like that, because it's kind of getting lost in the color and the pattern. So yeah, I've been wearing this rather a lot. I think if this was any other color, I would have been wearing it much less. So it being black actually has served me rather well. With the leftover yarn from the Peacock sweater, I made the Sophie shawl by Petite Knit. This doesn't have the 301, this has just the alpaca based yarn in it, and this is much more droopier, and it's been growing, I think, some amount. I've been wearing this quite a bit, I think. The only problem is, for me, that it's rather, as you can see, it's rather see-through. Obviously, this is not the pattern's fault whatsoever. This is my yarn, and what yarn I picked for it. But now when it's been actual winter here, for a few years, I don't think it's been I don't recall the last time we've been hitting like -25. So when the wind goes through, it actually goes through it. So it's not totally enough to keep me warm. However, I don't know why I never liked any scarves doing this. And now when I have this, it's like, this is brilliant. You can just, you know, easily put it in your jackets and stuff, and you don't need to struggle. And this is the best thing ever. So I probably will do this shape again. Maybe not this pattern. It should be very simple and straightforward. And for some reason, this took me like actual ages to finish. I also did it, this is A size, because what I did, which many people do, is I took the yarn, I weighed it, I used exactly 50% of the yarn to get to the middle point, increasing, and then I started decreasing when I got 50% of the yarn left. Matte is not my kind of like strong feature, and somehow I still have rather a lot of the yarn left. So I went somewhere, I went totally wrong. I don't know where, and I don't maybe care. It's fine, and I do something with the leftover yarn. I also started knitting the Kerr sweater, and I got the body done for that, but then I realized that I as a very professional knitter went up the needle size from 4 to 4.5 for the color work, but I think I never went back down after the color work. So now I'm picking up stitches to repeat all the way to the where the color work ends, and I need to knit all of it again from there. And I just kind of lost my steam. I was going very well with the Kerr sweater, and that's a pattern by the Bear. I can put picture here. And then I just lost all my steam, and it's just sitting there waiting to be ripped out. It's my first, well, it's kind of my second color work. I made one color work sweater for my mum, but this is the first one I'm making for myself. My aims for this year are basically the color work and then gables. And gables I'm actually working on other projects on at the moment, so hopefully I get those both done. After these, I started knitting some of my Christmas knits. My mum asked me to knit her a like dress, a sweater dress, and I let her choose the pattern with like how you want your sleeves to be fitted, how you want the neckline to be, what yarn you want, what color you want, what length you want, everything. And she didn't want any shaping, so I just made like sweater that I just made much longer, and she chose the Semper sweater v-neck by the Knit Pearl Girl. She chose the yarn Charisma by the Drops in the color beige. The yarn I got was purple. I got it from a place where I don't think you can return anything, so I had to keep it, and I had been obviously ordering a lot of it as I needed to make the whole like dress. And there was something very wrong. This is supposed to be superwash yarn. 14 balls out of the 16 I ordered were extremely coarse and fluffy and weird and more purple than the other two. So there had to be something wrong with them. But it was also impossible for me to knit anything neat looking. I can try to put a few pictures here where I show Tahni and maybe some of my other knits that are actually, because I was actually making 2 cardigans for my sons at the same time that you do in flat. So I usually have more trouble with the tension. Like, it's harder to keep the tension constantly like very flat looking. But my cardigans look so much neater than this thing that I made in round, because the yarn was impossible to work with. And if I wasn't doing this as a gift, I was thinking already that do I just, you know, discard the yarn totally and just get something else. But I was on rather tight schedule because my mum let me know of her hopes to get this dress 2 months before the Christmas Eve. We give here the presents on Christmas Eve. And then we still had to kind of like get the pattern and the yarn, and obviously we weren't going to visit my parents on Christmas, so I had to also count in the time to get the dress for her. So I just went with, but it was rather horrendous experience. I also knit the Eva Cardigan Junior for my older son in Cascade 220. Here you can see like that's rather like flat and neat looking compared to the potato field dresses. I knit the Eva Cardigan Junior for my older son. He chose the pattern and he chose the yarn color. This is called Galaxy by Cascade 220, the non-superwash. And then he chose these buttons to go. Where's the last button? Yeah. And he chose this pattern and these buttons and the yarn, and I knitted for him for Christmas. I also did the same cardigan in Pear Gynt in the color Shocking Pink for my younger son, who's obsessed with pink. He chose the buttons, and I wanted a pattern as well. So it's the Eva Cardigan Junior, and yeah, he just loves everything pink. So I promised that, well, you know, I make him pink sweater for Christmas. So this is what I made. After that, I made of finished. After this, this was the last week of the year, and I was on holiday and I decided to finish at least some of my whips before the new year is starting. This one was missing one sleeve, so it was rather easy to finish. This is the Direction Loop sweater by Other Loops. Not very size inclusive. I think this might be the biggest or second biggest size. I'm not a huge fan of stripes. I always try to make stripes and then I always gotta steer away from them anyways. But this yarn I actually got from England, the purple one from Beautiful Knitters. And I promised myself that I can buy one lot of hand-dyed yarn from England as my souvenir. And this is the Black Elephant UK in the color Gloom, and there I think it's Merlin. It's like superwash merino, and I mixed that with Knitting for Olive mohair. And then I'm unraveling a project. It's taking ages, but this is some cashmere merino yarn together with Viking Garn mohair. The Viking Garn mohair, I don't totally know what I was thinking of when I ordered that, because I ordered 800 meters of mohair, and then to go with that I had ordered 2,500 meters of wool, and 800 meters isn't enough to make a sweater for me. So even holding the wool double and then putting the mohair wouldn't have made a sweater for me. So I don't know what I was thinking, but well, I just took the mohair and put it in this one, and it worked fine, because I think that the stripes are almost a little bit lost in it. And Direction Loop sweater, I like this part where the stripes kind of go at the back one way and then they start going the other way. The only thing, but you are not going to be able to tell it probably, but here there's I think 4 stitches. The black stripe is four stitches wide, and then I made it to be 5 because I didn't too much like the look of this part, but I thought no one's going to be able to tell that, and I didn't do the chains all the way through. But it's been very cozy little sweater to wear, and it's very, very light. So I've been wearing this quite a lot at home now, considering it's been finished for 2 weeks. The second to last finished thing is the Stockholm sweater, adult size this time. This was actually the knit I took to England when we traveled, and I was thinking to take something that is the stockinette to take in the plane with me, but then my husband managed to convince me that no, they're not going to allow you to knit there because you can murder someone with your needles. And I was arguing this point, but I couldn't actually find any statement. Can I take knit? Like, because I know that you can do that, for example, in the USA, but I don't live there, so I don't know how it's here. So I didn't take this in. I took this in my actual luggage and just took it to the hotel with me. And I didn't do as much as I was hoping for. And then I had all my Christmas knits, so it was a little bit kind of like sitting abandoned. And I decided to finish this one. This is knit in tin, Pear Gynt, and mohair in the color Blue Iris. I think that's discontinued, at least here it said discontinued, but I liked it's kind of like this bluey purpley shade. And this one I've been wearing so much. Again, I finished it 2 weeks ago. So, but for that I've been wearing it a lot of times. I like the color. I like it's very basic fair. And I think I would need to just make a few more just very basic one-colored sweaters, because there don't seem to be that much of. I think this is the first actual just basic sweater. So this is probably something I will do more when I start next year. Oh, actually the next year started already. So if we are talking about 2024, hey, here we are in 2024. So this year. I will probably try to invest in something like this. The last thing I finished is this one. It's the I'm So Mohair hat. This is free pattern. You can find from Instagram, from the account called I'm So Wool. And if you just go to the, I don't speak Instagram, but they have the circle things. If you just go there, they have this in Finnish and English. So you can find this in English. It's free. It should have 4 strands of mohair, but I have 1 strand of Finnish lamb's wool from Kerr. There's Suoma single in the color mustikka, which means blueberry, mixed with 2 strands of Isager mohair in the color lavender. And I made this, and since I finished this, as it's been so cold, I've been wearing this every single day. It's not the neatest knit, you can see. I think I should have sized up in needles. I think I have a bit too much yarn going on for the like weight I was getting, but I wanted this to be very kind of like heavy duty, thick hat, because it was so cold. I wanted something that I knew that will keep my head warm, even if it's like -25 out there. And it's been just that. I said about this in my previous podcast, but I like doing rather big and chunky hats because my head shape is a bit funny. I don't seem to have a lot of the back of the head, so many times if I put a hat on, I just look weird, half-shaved egg. So I like to have a bit more volume to my hats to not look like that, if that makes any sense. So I like these sort of hats. I also can't stand tight hats on my head. I hate the feeling. I need something that gives me a bit of like space. Like if the hat would leave pattern on my forehead when I'm wearing it, that would drive me mad to have that amount of pressure. So I know many people like to do those more sleek looking tight fitting hats, but I'm not in that club. I've never been, and I will probably never be. So, but probably this one, if you make in the actual yarns it's calling for, would be a bit smaller, and it has few options for them sizing as well, so you can make it tighter or bigger. I made it with bigger amount of stitches. But yeah, very happy with that. And that's it. That doesn't represent my own style at all. I'm starting to realize there were a few black items, not very many. And I don't think it was a simple pile of clothing. But I guess maybe knitting is bringing a bit more color and variation in my style, which is welcome, because even I'm a bit bored with my all black style, and it seems to be common joke at work that I'm just wearing black, as well as my kids have both said they don't like black because they think that I should be wearing something else. So maybe this is a good sign for my style. I thank you so much for watching. I try to do these videos and podcasts and stuff, so if you want to, you are very welcome to come back. I said this earlier already that I might be a bit bad if you leave a comment to getting back to you, because I'm very nervous reading the comments. But I'm trying to get better with that. But if you leave comments and I'm not replying straight away, I'm not being rude. I'm just, you know, having crisis of how to live this internet life. But yeah, as I said, thank you so much for watching, and I see you next time.